oh, we're born this way. You're bound to get diabetes. No, we need to break the chain, break the cycle, and turn off that mindset. It's a mindset thing is what it is. I'm saving time cooking during the week, and that is huge. Imagine if I cooked every single meal during the week. It would equate to more than the 2 hours that I invested on a Sunday. A champion can still be built at any age. It's just how bad do they want their goal? There's this guy, he has 2 amputated legs, and he has a quote on there that says, people ask me how I do what I do, and I simply ask them how they don't.
Amanda Garces is a certified nutrition coach, former gym owner, and a regionally qualified CrossFit athlete. She's here today to discuss what it takes to have the mindset of a champion and some specific fitness and nutrition advice for anyone listening. Shawn, what'd you learn today?
That we all have the time.
Yeah.
That's something that we definitely harped on a lot. It's just the importance of time management in your fitness, in your nutrition, and how important it is to just meal prep at home and avoid those drive-through lines, man.
Yeah,
it's so
for sure.
important.
I also like how she talked about how anyone can develop the mindset of a champion. You don't have to be born that way. Anybody can do it. Guys, listen to this episode. Take lots of notes. Hit up Amanda if you need any help. Obviously, we're here to help as well. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this episode with all your friends and family. Welcome to Only the Greatest Podcast. If you're feeling stuck and unsure what to do next in your fitness journey, we might be what you're looking for. My name is Philip. I own and operate OTG Fitness, which is a private personal training gym on the south side of Houston in Webster. I do this podcast every week with my best friend, Daryl. We've been friends since 3rd grade and working out together ever since. Also joining us today will be Shawn. He's the one that makes this podcast not only sound great, but look good as well. Our goal here is to help Houston make its way up the ladder of health and fitness. So if you're in the Houston area and ready to become the greatest version of yourself, be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform.
All right, let's start off, Amanda. We're going to ask, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
Ooh, I have the same breakfast Monday through Friday.
Okay.
It is already prepped because it's so easy. Like I help coach at a CrossFit gym, Iron Keel, with Danny. So I coach there 5:30. Then I coach him, personal train him. So everything's already set. And then I actually go shoot content for clients. It is maple ground turkey. I don't know if you've ever seen the packets. Okay, well, that with egg whites and fat-free cheese. Heat up some corn tortillas, and they're just my tacos.
Dang, tacos for breakfast?
Yep.
So you mean you don't have to eat oatmeal and egg whites every day?
That's my snack. Oatmeal is my snack.
Okay. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not a big reheater of breakfast.
Okay.
But because the cheese keeps it, I guess, moist and flavorsome, when I reheat it, it tastes just as good as when I cooked it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way I'd be able to do reheated egg. No.
Yeah, how long does that take you each morning?
So I meal prep it on Sunday. The only thing I got to heat up are the corn tortillas.
Okay.
So really under 5 to 10 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, because a big thing that I get from a lot of people is, they're in such a rush in the morning. There's no way they can eat breakfast. Yeah.
No way.
So maybe we can start tell us what are your thoughts on that statement? What goes through your mind?
I think they don't find a way. And the reason why I say this is because how are you liking these posts? How are you sharing these posts on social media at such an early time of the day? You could be prepping a healthier breakfast, or even the people, every time I pass Whataburger, Chick-fil-A, you see these lines, and it's while you're waiting in line, that's the same amount of time it would have taken for you to just cook it at home. You have more control over what the ingredients are. You're going to feel better. You're going to save money in your pocket. It's just a win overall. I think it's just laziness, 1, and 2, the lack of seeing that they can actually make time. So it's make time versus actually having time.
Man, we're going to get along great.
Yeah. You have no idea. I've heard every excuse in the excuse book. I mean, I used to give some, right? I was born and raised in the Valley. I don't know if you've guys have heard of the Valley.
Yes,
Down south, yeah.
Yes, down south. So I'm not going to bash down south, but I'm
Mhm.
just saying, as far as the fitness industry and the health industry is concerned, they're about 5-ish years behind. I don't know if it's a cultural thing. I don't know if it's lack of wanting to educate themselves on it, but I just feel like all the excuses I have heard, and I've come from it as well, like being raised, oh, we're born this way, or you're bound to get diabetes. It's in our blood, it's in our family. Like,
Almost like
no.
it's like a traditional thing. Even.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like
Really?
if you let it be, yes, but no. Like we need to break the chain, break the cycle, and turn off that mindset. It's a mindset thing, is what it is.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
I agree with that 100%. And actually, I have like a little side story that's similar to that. I remember when I was a kid, I say a kid, I was a late teenager, maybe
Okay.
somewhere between like 17 and 19 years old. And I remember a time where one of my family members told me, Philip, it's only a matter of time before you're on this medication as well. Cause I think I was like at their house in their pantry or whatever.
Yes.
And they're like, I take this, your mom took this, your grandparents take it, you're going to have to someday too. And that was kind of right around the time things were changing for me. I don't know if you know, I lost almost 100 pounds myself around,
Oh,
I was
wow.
like 19, 20 years old.
You have to show me a picture later.
Yeah, I'll show you. No one ever believes it, but my mom died when I was 15 from health related issues. I went through like a
Oh.
depression, gained weight, and then I eventually lost it. But anyways, it was around this time frame where I was like just starting to like connect the dots on
Okay.
like what you put in your body is what you get out of it kind of thing. And I just remember in that moment thinking, well, that means I kind of have two choices. Either I can give into that or I can fight against it and not be just like everyone else.
Correct.
And I'm can stand here now 12, 13 years later. And like, that's
And
what
look
happened.
at you. And
know?
your business resonates with that as well. Like
Yeah.
what you do for a living is proof evidence that you're trying to make that change for everyone else.
Mhm.
I think what helped me is I like going against the grain in
Okay.
some aspects. So like me being told, oh yeah, it runs in the family. Like, no, I'm going to prove you wrong that that's not the way it is or should be.
Mhm.
A lot of the reason why I left the Valley is to get out of a bubble and to kind of explore more of like-minded individuals that want to make a change for better, whether it's fitness, whether it's mindset-wise, whether it's opportunities. Like there's always room to grow. And I don't know if you've heard the saying, but if you put a shark in a little fishbowl, like it's only going to grow as big as that fishbowl. Like it has to go out to grow. So that's kind of the same mentality that I took from that. It's just breaking that cycle.
Sure. Yeah. I'm kind of curious on how you have the conversation with someone. Like, cause you can't just be like, you're lazy, right? Like that doesn't work.
No,
Right.
unfortunately. it
So if
doesn't.
someone, cause I like I really like what you said about, people are waiting in line because someone that tells me they don't have time for breakfast. So that's why they stop at McDonald's or XYZ. Like, well, if you think about how long you have to go out of your way for the routes, you still have to wait. And even if you go out for dinner, like you really have to wait a long
Mhm.
time. I understand you don't have to wash dishes and stuff like that. All that stuff really nice. It's usually a convenience thing in that case. But for this person that's waiting in line in the morning, says they don't have time, like you can't just be like, you're lazy, do it this way. So what does that conversation actually look like?
Oh man, so one of the biggest approaches to that I've had a client do is I want you to write down every single thing that you do during the day, from the time you wake up to the time you leave your house. And then I want you to sit down and weed out everything that you don't necessarily have to do. And give yourself a time frame, like for example, scrolling on social media, watching TV like Netflix or the latest episode of The Bachelorette. Like all of that is, I don't want to use this word, but wasted time that can be better utilized elsewhere, whether that's for meal prepping, washing the dishes. And unfortunately, washing the dishes is not really an excuse because now there's dishwashers.
Yeah,
so
sure. Yeah. Mhm.
Come
Yeah.
on, guys.
This
Yeah.
brand new invention, right?
Yes, it's like there's so many inventions
Mhm.
to eliminate your excuses.
Sure.
There's even ready-made meals,
Mhm.
right? If you're going to be spending that amount of money every single day to buy Chick-fil-A or go out to dinner, you can use that same expense to buy a better meal already prepped.
Mhm.
there's a ton of meal prep businesses out
And they're
there
actually
already.
probably cheaper from the ones that
Correct.
we've had a couple of them here on this podcast, and their meals are actually less than going to fast food.
Exactly. And I tell everyone too, it's an instant gratification. We go based off how it tastes, but you're paying for it in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
So which one has a better long-term benefit? What you eat now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make the better choice. You actually save time too. So like if I'm going to eat McDonald's, then I have to think about, oh man, by the time this comes off my body, I have to do extra steps. I got to do extra cardio. Like all of that is time. Time is money. So you might as well eat better options for yourself.
Yeah, and if you actually have food prepared, then you don't have to go out of your way in the moment throughout the day.
Yes.
That's a huge one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that could throw a wrench in your whole day. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to go get this food, and I'm already kind of late.
And then the traffic's bad.
Oh, my God. And then it's wrapped around.
And then it's a cascading effect. And I think that's what happens is that one thing, and then it cascades down, and now you're flustered. Now everything's out of control, and you feel like it's impossible.
A saying I heard around that it was about being late and like road rage, and they were like, is the person in front of you driving super slow, or are you just late, or did you just leave late?
Yeah.
You know?
Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah,
so.
same thing.
It changes your whole start to the day. It makes a massive difference. Like how you start impacts everything else. And one point that you just brought up is the initial investment. On Sundays, it takes no more than 2 hours to meal prep. Okay. I'm prepping my lunches and my breakfast. If that, I've probably already perfected it down to like an hour and 10 minutes, including washing dishes.
Nice.
Because everything can cook for itself. You got an air fryer, cooks for itself. You got white rice, cooks by itself, a slow cooker. Now it's so easy to do. There's really no excuse to do it. But anyways, I'm saving time cooking during the week. And that is huge. Imagine if I cooked every single meal during the week. It would equate to more than the 2 hours that I invested on a Sunday.
In my previous life, I worked in manufacturing, which is all about efficiencies.
Yes, efficiencies.
Right? So,
and I don't know if that comes from me doing CrossFit and trying to be the most efficient person ever, or if it's just me saying that I want to utilize my time effectively. Like our lives are already so short. If we can save time to do the things that we enjoy, even better. It's a win-win.
Sure. How long do you recommend someone do this like little time journal that you're recommending?
At least for a day or two. They're going to pick it up in the first day.
Yeah. And do you notice that people, when they do that, they start fixing it themselves, or does it still require some little conversation with you?
I think it requires self-recognition and acceptance that they aren't holding themselves accountable. I've seen it time and time again. They know what they should be doing. Right. They know they should cut out alcohol. They know they shouldn't be going to fast food. They know they should be hitting their steps, but they're not doing it. And I think that's something psychological that's going on that I'm sure you know this as a personal trainer. Like sometimes we act as therapists, but we're not. We're not meant to be therapists.
But if you do it right, then a lot of times it comes out that way.
Yes, correct. Sure. Because how your mindset impacts the way you train, right? The way you're feeling throughout the day. All of it is unfortunately tied together, but they don't see that.
Yeah, I really like the time log situation because I often have people do a food log, and then 3 days later they don't even need anything from me anymore. They've fixed a lot of their own problems,
which is good. It's self-awareness.
That's right.
But a lot of times it's like an out of sight, out of mind thing. I'm the same way when it comes to making time to stretch, making time to read. I have time. I'm just not making that effort to fit it in my time block.
Sure.
I don't know if you've heard of 75 Hard. So I've done it.
I did it.
And
failed once, did it.
Reading,
completed the second time.
It's like 10 pages. I'm like, oh my God, I'm dreading this so much. I could be going to bed earlier. I could be doing this, but it's making the time. And I think people lack that when it comes to what their goals are.
Yeah, I agree. Did you get through 75 Hard the first time?
I got to like day 50. And
you had to restart?
Yes.
Oh, what happened? Dang.
I didn't. There was one thing. It wasn't the picture. It was the second workout.
Okay.
Yeah, I got my 45-minute walk. I couldn't get my workout. I was just out of town. I was traveling the whole day.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's literally no way I could have done it.
Yeah.
Like I would have
But
to.
you did start over and finish.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's
Starting
awesome.
over.
It took me, I forget the first time I tried it, what stopped me. I don't remember which one it was, but the second time when I went, after I failed, I finished it, and it was really hard. Actually, my funny story with that is I ended up giving me shingles. I got from in the middle of 75 hard. So my 2 workouts for like a week was just walking and stretching. So it's like, as long as you can count that as my workout.
And it's really as hard as you want to,
intense. Yeah.
as hard as you want to make it. Like I look back at it and I'm like, how many people actually did it with the right intentions? Like how many people actually stick to their diet? I don't know anyone who's that strict. So what? Anywho, that's
I did a macronutrient based diet.
Me too.
So
Me
have
too.
some flexibility in there.
Correct.
So.
It's like, where's the line?
Yeah.
And it's the same with like that second workout. Like I was stretching and there's times where I was just doing a walk and I felt like I could have done more. So then I felt guilty. Like, should I start over? So it's just holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many people would actually hold themselves accountable who finished.
Who knows? But
who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That kind of goes along with kind of my next question here, that self-accountability, self-awareness. Do you think that people with these mindsets like that, like the real mindset of a champion type person, are people just born that way? Or do you think that they can be developed over time?
I think they could be developed over time, 100%. And it also based on their surroundings. Because if they're not surrounded by individuals who level them up to that standard, it's really hard for them to do it by themselves. Like I'm guilty of that. That's why I left home, because I was only going to be as good as I'm surrounded with. I mean, there are exceptions. You got your Tia Tumis. You got
who's this?
The fittest CrossFitter for 6 times already.
Oh wow!
So like that's a little different, but for the majority of people, you will rise to the level of your surroundings. And I think that's huge. So your environment and the way you're raised, a lot of it is like you mentioned, you were told you were going to be on the same meds, and it took your personality and the way you thought to switch that around. So it's also based on the individual.
Yeah. And do you think though that when someone's born, they go through their childhood, they're 18 years old, they have an opportunity to go one way or the other. Do you think that it's just an interpretation of the way that they were raised? Is it in that moment that allows them to go one way or the other? Or do you think that some people just go one way and other people just go another way?
Ooh, I think a little bit of both, because I think it's still never too late. And I also think that it's based on how bad you want something. Because, I mean, I'm listening. Wow. I'm reading a book called Grit. And it's basically talking about, are those individuals who are talented, are they necessarily successful? Or is grit a huge factor? And grit is basically your perseverance to not want to give up. And that overcomes talent. And it's the truth with this as well. Like a champion can still be built at any age. It's just how bad do they want their goal?
I think that is so true. I think I need that book.
Grit. Yeah. Yes, it's a really good book.
I have this little rule that I followed that I actually stole it from this, I think Ramit Sethi talks about this. Like anytime I hear about a book, I just immediately order it. So I do that myself now. So I'll definitely get that. I agree with that because, I don't think I'm not the most talented person in the world. College was really hard for me, but I figured out a way to do it.
Same.
We've had so many failures with our business, but here we are. It's been 6.5 years when we're still at it. Right. So, things are hard. Still on the daily basis, we face things that we don't know how to do. We have to go figure it out on the fly. So I think that grit does have a lot to do with it. It's just a decision that you have to make that I'm going to push through for this thing. Do you have any other specific things? You mentioned the people around you. Like how else can someone that's listening to this that says, I think I need to be more accountable to myself? Other than the people that's around them, that's obviously very important. Do you have anything else that person can do?
Well, besides self-evaluation, if it were me, right? If it were me, and I look at younger Amanda, because I was lost for around the time that you said you were still kind of growing up, 17, 18. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't know what I wanted to do in college. I didn't know what I wanted to study, what my career was going to be. And I just slipped into CrossFit, thankfully. And I just knew that the way it made me feel, I was addicted to it because I felt better, felt more confident. And that's when I realized, like, I want to go more, I want to invest more in myself to be better at this and see where it takes me. And I think that self realization that I was going to go all in made the biggest difference. Like, going all in, it's the same with the business. Like, if you're 1 foot here, 1 foot over there, you're never going to make that step, right? You're always going to, I don't know if you probably haven't heard the saying, but if you have 1 foot in the, 1 foot in the future, 1 foot in the past, you piss all over today.
Okay, I've not heard that, but I like it.
I didn't know it.
Yeah,
That
Sean,
was
what do you
going.
think? You like that one?
I like it. I'm gonna use it.
Yeah,
Can I borrow that one?
Oh, yeah. It's not copyrighted. It's very good. So, and that's the same with this. Like, if you're going to commit to something, go all in. So that way you don't look back and be like, I should have gone all in. I should have done this. What's the worst that can happen? You fail. Failure is just a lesson. You just learn from it.
Yeah. The answer really a lot of times in this situation is just to do.
Yep.
Do something. Even if you're unsure if it's the right thing, it's a lot better than doing nothing.
Correct.
So you just kind of go for it.
Yep.
And another thing that I think is really important in kind of what you're describing is curiosity.
Yes, that's
Like,
huge.
Having an open mind. And then like when you're in that moment, you said you felt so good. Well, like what else is there?
Yes.
Like you're curious. And then
Yes.
you want to fulfill that curiosity.
Well, and then that curiosity for fulfillment ripples good into other areas. Met amazing people, got me to Houston, which in turn had me take over a CrossFit gym. So like it's a ripple effect of good. You're not going to lose.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, I don't understand why people don't take that faithful step in just committing into investing more in themselves.
It's fear. That's
Fear.
They're scared of something, like scared of failure, scared of what their family's going to think if
Yes.
they fail, scared of what their friends are going to think if they tell them that, hey, sorry, I can't hang out. I can't go to the bar Saturday night. Oh, come on, dude. You know, they're
Yes.
afraid of hearing that.
Well, there's another book, and it's called The Mountain Is You.
Okay.
Super good book. It's just going back into why we fear as human beings. And like you said, we're so scared of what others think. Like, why does that matter so much? Like, who cares? At the end of the day, whether you make the decision or not, people are still going to judge you. You're always going to have people who like you and don't like you. So just do what you want to do.
I just feel like we probably like the reason why we fear it is because we create so much of our identities based on the people that we hang out with or the people that we put ourselves around. I think that if we go against that identity, it's like, oh man, you're not going out and drinking, Shawn. You're the drinking guy. You're shot Shawn. Why aren't you out here just getting messed up with
Dang,
this?
is that you?
No, it's not. Not at all.
Touching home.
This is actually an AA meeting. I'm just like, no.
But yeah, for sure. It's like, it goes back to the people that you surround yourself with. It's exponential in how all these things work together. If the people that you surround yourself with don't allow you to explore your curiosity,
Yes.
you never even have the chance to take the step.
Correct. And then that brings in another question. Are they really your friends? If they can't support such a big step in a better direction for you, are they really your friends?
Have you ever had this conversation with the client?
I've not with a client, but
Okay.
it's happened to me personally. So when I owned a CrossFit gym, I was always asked like, hey, we should go hang out. Like, especially after Friday Night Lights. I don't know if you're
No, what is that?
okay. So the CrossFit has the open to qualify for regionals. And if you don't perform well in the open, you won't qualify for regionals, which is what I qualified for. So during those 5-week periods, we would have a workout released and then you would do it on a Friday night. The gym would do it as a whole. It was a community thing.
Okay.
After the workout, they would want to go and have a drink. And it's like, no, guys, like if I go, I'm not going to drink. And there's been times where I went and they still ask me and I'm like, this is why I don't come. It's not because I don't want to hang out. You guys just don't listen to me when I say I don't want to drink. Why can't I just be here and have a good time without a drink? Why do I need a drink? Why does that make a difference?
You're challenging that identity.
Have you ever gotten
I
a
think that's what it
legitimate
is.
answer to that question?
Nope. Just because we're all doing it.
Yeah.
I don't.
I want to see you
be the
drunk.
all.
I want to see you drunk. Have you
Yeah.
ever heard that one? That one's wild to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, why? You want to see me at my most vulnerable state and possibly injure someone else?
Yeah.
Like
The important thing in here is that there is no actual answer to the question other
No.
than just because we are.
correct.
There's like, if you make it, a lot of times I recommend to people to make a T-chart of pros and cons.
Okay.
All right. So like in this case, like there's no if you were to make that chart of the pros and cons of you drinking or not.
Whoop.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. The only pro is so I can is because you're doing it.
Correct.
And you can think that I'm a part of this, but in my mind, I am a part of this.
What if it's a selfish act of that friend so they can feel better?
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like if I get you to drink, I don't have to feel bad that I'm drinking because you're the better person right now for not drinking.
Something that I've had this is probably like my 4th or 5th conversation just in the past week along this. So this situation is probably happening a lot, but just because it's in front of me now, I'm noticing it more. But it's important to separate how you feel about something from the reality of what's actually happening.
Yep.
So in that moment, the friend or the quote unquote friend feels like that if you're not drinking, you're not a part of the group.
Yep.
But if they would take a step back and just look at the reality of the situation, I'm still here.
Yes.
I'm still with you guys.
But they don't see that effort.
But
They're-
they don't
don't
feel,
feel.
that.
Correct.
So it's important to separate feelings from reality
Correct.
when you're assessing a situation. And if your feelings make no sense, which is what's going on, but reality does, then it's a you problem.
Correct.
It's
Yes.
that person.
Yes.
It's not nothing with the
And
situation.
that's a whole deeper conversation.
Sure.
It's like, why are you drinking? What are you avoiding? Like, what is the motivation for you to want me to drink with you?
Yeah.
Why do you want to make yourself feel better? Yep.
And that, why do you feel the need to feel better from my actions?
Correct. It should be your self actions.
Yeah.
100%.
That goes back to like, we're not there as trainers. We're not therapists.
No,
Sometimes it feels that way.
I know. And I feel like I've done coaching for over 10 years now. And it's like, you pick up these little things and habits that people have. You're like, wow, please tell me if you ever see that from me so that way I can fix it.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of times people don't call them out, because
No.
it's kind of a hard, awkward conversation.
Yeah.
But again, it's separate your feelings from reality. That person needs your help.
Yeah.
Right?
These were my members. I'm like, you pay me to survive, and I'm still going to tell you what you don't want to hear, and that's that I'm not drinking. If not, I'll leave. I will be more than happy to leave because I will still sleep at night happy as a bug. You won't.
Yeah, that is the reality. Well, you mentioned coaching for 10 years.
10 plus. I started CrossFit 2013, did it for a month, got my cert the next month. And yeah, it's
Been
over
at it
10
ever
years.
since. Tell us
Yes.
about some let's just stick with nutrition for now.
Okay.
So when it comes to nutrition, because that's mostly what you do now, right? A little bit of personal training, mostly nutrition though?
Yeah, mostly nutrition. I have more expertise in the training side of things.
Okay.
But yeah, mostly nutrition
Okay,
right now.
well, let's cover both. Let's start
Okay.
with nutrition though. So nutrition specific, like what are over 10 years of coaching? I'm sure you've heard it all,
Yes.
right? So tell us about some of the common ones though. What are they? Why are they so common? And then what can we do to overcome them?
Okay, so one of them is for sure I don't have time.
Okay.
Another one would be it just tastes boring. Like, okay, define boring.
Okay, give me
Like-
one more and then I want to dive into that one.
Another one is I can't eat the same thing every single day.
Okay, that kind of goes in line with
with
number
the
2.
boring,
Let's dive into that because I have a conversation that I like to have with people on that topic, but I'd like to hear how you kind of go about that.
So I was no cook growing up, and my parents, I lived off of McDonald's 20-piece chicken nuggets. Not Chick-fil-A. We didn't have enough money for that. Whataburger. So
Dang, your
those
childhood
two,
sound a lot like
so
mine.
you
Yeah.
kept it beige.
Yeah.
Kept it nice
Hot
and beige.
Pockets,
Yeah.
microwavable, mac and cheese,
Corn dogs, fish sticks,
corn dogs, fish sticks.
like the frozen
yes,
fish sticks you
yes.
put in the toaster oven. Oh yeah.
Oh, my
An easy
stomach
mac.
growls.
Toaster oven already dated you right there.
Yeah, dude, that's what I grew up on. Banquet
Yeah.
TV dinners.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
You know,
Peter
that's the
Piper
kind of-
pizza.
Oh,
you go.
yeah.
The $5 Caesar.
Little Caesars?
Hot and ready.
Hot and ready. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure they've shrunk now and gone up in price, but I don't know. I was no cook. Right. My parents never cooked vegetables. It was just always fast food, fried food, all the time. So when I got into CrossFit and wanted to change my nutrition up, I had nowhere to start with cooking. So in my mind, I'm like, yeah, it's boring, but it's because I didn't know how to cook. So it's not so much that it is boring. It's not. It's you have the resources. It's trial and error when it comes to boring. There's so many different ways to cook a chicken. So many different ways to eat your beef, to cook your vegetables, to season your vegetables. I can have the same chicken for lunch every single day, just changing up the way I cook it from slow cooked to on a pan changes the whole meal. And I think people, again, it comes back to laziness. They don't want to invest the time to change things up to the way they like it.
I knew we were going to get along, Shawn.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Already liking this
I knew it.
conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that is so true. Do you know Mike at Liveling RX? He does the DEXA scans.
Maybe.
Okay, well, anyways, he's a really good friend of mine, and he does. And actually, that's how I know Danny as well. And then Danny is how I met you.
So Mike goes to Iron Kill.
No, but he owns a small business called Liveling RX Houston.
Okay.
And they do DEXA scans, like body composition scans.
Okay.
VO2 max testing.
Ooh, that would be fun.
RMRs. Yeah, I'll hook you up with him. He's really good
fun.
friend of mine. And they have nutritionists on staff as well so the people get their DEXA scan, tells them their body composition, how much muscle mass, helps them calculate their macronutrients, calorie intake and stuff like that, right? But anyways, he told me one time that most people, their entire life, live on 25 foods or less of variety. And I started thinking about it and I was like, you know what?
It's nothing.
That is so true. So this variety argument that people make is not real. Just because you eat Wendy's today and Jack in the Box tomorrow, it's still a burger and fries.
Yep.
It's just cooked differently. It's seasoned differently and it's presented differently. But it's the same food.
Like pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, different places to get pizza.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I like to convert it to like clothing, right? You can have a whole closet of clothes, but there's different ways to dress it up. That's the same with food. That's the same with seasonings. That's the same with air fryer, cook it on a pan, bake it in the oven. There's so many different ways. You just have to be creative in wanting to try it as well.
Let's get specific here. Give me some specific examples of like a week of meal prep and how we take something that sounds boring and spice it up and make it fun.
I'm going to tell you a little story first. So,
Sweet.
when I first started CrossFit coaching, I was doing CrossFit coaching and I was working for Apple and I was a lifeguard. So I was working 3 different jobs to afford CrossFit. It wasn't a pretty penny. So I had to pre-prep everything. I was trying to get into vegetables. Well, unfortunately, I boiled Brussels sprouts. Had to eat it during my break as a lifeguard. Popped it in my mouth and was gagging. Never touched Brussels sprouts again until I moved to Houston when someone made it in a dish. And I was like, there's no way I'm not going to touch that. Like I had a bad experience. I had PTSD, which I'm sure a lot of people have as nutrition clients. My parents are a great example of that. So I try it, right? I was hungry and I was like, oh my God, this tastes amazing. All they did was bake it in oil. And that's when I realized, I'm like, Amanda, you have been so caught up in your first time experience with the way you were initially cooking this healthier food that now you have a bad relationship with it possibly tasting different based on the way you were cooking it before. And that's really my story. It's like, just because you cook it wrong the first time and you don't like it the first time doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to taste that way. And I think that's, like you said, our palates are so small. So it's not that it's boring. It's just that we haven't found a way for you to enjoy it.
Yep. We talked to another, remember Dr. Chapa, he talked about that. I said, especially with kids, just because they don't like it today doesn't mean that you can't change it up on them next week, next month,
Yep.
and try it a little bit of a different way,
Yep.
and then they'll like it, and they'll never
100%.
even know.
Our taste buds change as we get older.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing too.
I used to not like veggies at all when I was a kid, and then like as I got older, like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, especially if they're cooked right, it's like
Yes.
I'm on board for sure. It's so
100%.
good.
Yes, but you have to give the trial and error thing, like
Yeah,
you said,
gotta
find
try
what
it.
works for
Yes.
you.
Well, then I've also heard clients tell me, "Oh yeah, coach, you know, I went to Longhorn Steakhouse and I got their broccolini and all this stuff, and it tasted good." And I'm like, "But you complain that you don't like it when you make it at home. So it's not that you don't like it. It's just you're not cooking it the way you would like it."
And likely
And
they
a
didn't
bunch of
put
butter.
in any effort into
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to. If you're closed minded about not liking a food,
Yes.
even when you do cook it, it's like you're cooking it just to prove a point that you don't like it. It's not going to work, right? But if
Yes.
you're actually open minded,
100%.
then you'll maybe find a way that you do like it. But-
Yes.
All right. Well, let's talk about some specifics.
Okay.
What does a week of meal prep look like with simple ingredients, but,
Okay.
but keep it fun and keep it interesting?
I'll tell you mine, but I've had many different kinds.
Okay, sure.
So I am right now doing chicken
Mm-hmm.
on a slow cooker for my lunches. And
How do you season that?
yeah, so I put in leek. I don't know if you've heard of FODMAP before.
FODMAPs,
Okay, so I'm trying to stick to those very, very painful indigestions that happen. So garlic and onion is unfortunately on there.
You're staying away from
I'm staying
those.
away from
Got
those
it.
100%, and I felt a lot better. So I put chicken broth in there
Mm-hmm.
so it can soak up in there. I put leek. It's a good replacement.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
It's like an onion.
Yeah,
looking
it's an
thing,
onion,
right? Yeah, it's
but
like
it's not on the list.
Okay,
So it
interesting.
gives it so much flavor, and it smells like green onion.
Okay.
Yeah,
looks
it kind
kinda
of looks
like
like
it.
one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a thick green
Okay.
onion.
I'm
Almost.
sure when you see it at HEB, you're like, "Oh, I didn't know that was there."
Okay.
It looks
okay.
funky, but it
so
tastes really
you put
good.
the chicken in there like you like chicken
Breasts,
Okay,
yes.
like boneless, skinless chicken breasts. You just throw
Correct.
them in there. Okay.
Yep. Dump them in there. Put the broth. Put the leek in there. Put a couple of other seasonings, salt, pepper. Sometimes I'll put in like aminos, all those little sauces. I think there's like 5 different sauces. But it broths in there for 4 hours.
Okay.
Then after that, I chop it up while the white rice cooks, and then I air fry some carrots and green beans, and I'm all set for
And
my
then you
lunch.
just portion those out for your lunches all week.
Correct.
And then
Yeah.
next week you'll use the same chicken, but you'll do what with it? Give me an
Same thing.
example. Same thing.
Yeah, I'm a creature of habit,
Okay.
so it's so easy. But if I were to change it up, it would be ground beef,
Okay.
white rice,
Mhm.
same veggies.
Mhm.
I like to mix my meals, obviously based on how I'm feeling. If I'm not tired, I'm not going to change it. But sometimes it's just changing the veggies and keeping the same rice and chicken.
Same protein, same
Yep.
carb, but a different vegetable.
Correct. Or
Right.
sometimes I'll put bone broth in my rice. Like those little minute changes makes a huge change to the whole meal. It's crazy.
That's the only difference between going from Pizza Hut to Papa John's.
Correct,
You know,
yeah.
it's a seasoning method. that's
100%.
changing.
Yes, 100%. And I always get it. Like my clients will tell me, my content clients, not my nutrition clients. I'll go do a shoot and I have my own lunch packed, and they're like, "You don't want some of ours?" I'm like, "No, I'm good. Like I have my meals." Like, "Are you sure? Come on." No, it's okay. I know what my body likes and enjoys. It's already tracked.
Mhm.
I cooked it. I don't want food to go to waste. Like I'm very lucky to have food. There's a lot of people who can't afford food, and here I am wasting it. No. So it's I've done it for so long that it's so natural to me.
Yeah, it's getting started that's so hard,
Mhm.
in the very beginning. So, and that
Uh-huh.
kind of goes back to the time thing. So maybe we can wrap back
Okay.
around to the first thing you said, which is the time situation, right? We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier with the morning thing,
Mhm.
but let's get a little more nitty gritty, a little more specific for the person that's trying to get started,
Okay.
feels like they have no time. What's step one?
Step 1 is sit down and plan what you're going to eat the next day.
Mhm.
Okay. If you want to save time, ideally eat the same foods.
Yes, 100% agree.
The more variety you put in, the more time it's going to take.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't like to hear that because it's tedious to eat the same meals, but it's more tedious to invest time in different ingredients every single day. All it takes is changing one meal. It changes the rest of your macronutrients for the day.
Mhm.
And that's frustrating. Then you're playing macro
Macro math.
Tetris at night, and it's
Uh-huh.
like, why? causing more of a headache than anything. So pre-planning is huge. And if you could eat the same things every single day, ideally that would be great. Or if you wanted some variety, change one meal. Change your snack.
Yeah.
Right? A little bit of a change there, or change your breakfast.
It's another one of those exponential things, because the more variety you're asking for, not only you're asking for more variety, you're asking for more cook time.
Yep.
You're asking for more trips to the grocery store.
Yep.
You're asking for more ingredients in your pantry that are probably, some of them go bad.
I was going to say possible food waste.
Yeah, food waste. Yeah. It's an exponential thing.
Yes, I like that word.
So
yes.
it gets worse. And now you get in your mind and it feels impossible.
Yes.
So it's about breaking it down to these simple things and acceptance of eating the same thing, just season it a little different.
I think people don't like to hear that simple is effective.
Mm.
I don't know why.
Because when you make it complex,
It's
it
a
is
selling
more
point.
It's that for sure for like marketers and stuff,
Yeah.
no doubt. But it's also more justifiable for why you didn't do it.
Correct.
I hate saying that.
So ego.
But
Again, it comes down.
that is what it is.
Yes.
If something's simple, there's no reason I shouldn't do it.
Mhm.
But if it's complicated, there's my excuse for why it didn't get done.
Yep. That is.
Because it's so hard and complicated to do.
Yes.
I hate that. I hate admitting that. But that is what I see a lot of, unfortunately.
Very unfortunate.
All right, let's switch it to, because I agree with you, those are kind of the two biggest things with nutrition for
I know
sure.
nothing else popped up when you
Yeah.
asked that, so I don't see anything else. I mean, alcohol, but that's a whole other
They
topic.
they all kind of, no matter what, I think they go back to those two things.
Yes.
And alcohol is another reason, like an escape situation, maybe.
Yes.
So, but that is definitely a different conversation.
100%.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
again, that's the psychiatrist hat.
Yeah.
that I can
Exactly.
provide to you.
Well, let's talk about, on the fitness side of things, the
Okay.
exercise, getting to the gym, working out of any kind. Like, what are the common barriers that you're seeing a lot of, and what do we need to do to overcome
One that
them?
I'm guilty of myself when I first started is cardio is the way.
Okay.
It's not.
Especially as a female, right?
Yeah, especially in the female world.
Mm-hmm.
Cardio, eat 1,200 calories. I don't know where that magic number came from. I'm guilty of that. I've had multiple clients guilty of that. I don't know where that number came from for females.
The 1,200 calories?
The 1,200 calories
Uh-huh.
and cardio. Like,
Mhm.
if females and everyone in general knew lifting weights is so beneficial in more than one way, like longevity, getting to your fitness goals, like reducing aches and pains. Like, there's just so much benefit that lifting has that I was unaware of. And I think that's one that's massive. You hear a lot. I'm sure you hear it. Like, I don't want to get bulky, but
Mhm.
come on, I'm trying to. And look at me.
Yeah, when guys are like, I ain't trying to look like Arnold.
Like,
oh,
you
don't
won't.
worry.
They're going to get accidentally strong.
Yeah. You're going to accidentally be the
Whoopsies.
best looking guy in the world. Like, what?
And sometimes I just want to break their eyes and tell them, even if you tried, you wouldn't be able
That's
to.
right. Yes.
But I don't know how to break that. It's a mindset. I don't know where that's ingrained, if it's from the media or social media. I don't know where that's coming from, but it's such a hard and very common thing that I hear.
Mm-hmm. Do you deal with that with clients?
Yes.
Like directly? And so what does the conversation look like? Like how, like which route do you go down with them? And like what percentage of them do you think find success?
It is a hard conversation to have. First of all, I like to tell them, hey, something is better than nothing. I'd rather you go out and run every single day than do nothing at all.
That's so true.
Yes. So I premise it with that. Then I go into the fact, I see you want to change the way your physique looks. That is going to require X, Y, Z, and one of them being strength training. You don't want to hear that. I'm just being honest. This is my expertise. I have my master's in sports science and rehab. Like, I've been doing this for over 10 years. Choose to believe me or not, but this is what is going to take to get you from point A to point B. Clearly, what you're doing isn't working. So the next best thing is to listen to me. And if they like it, cool. If they don't like it, I'm sorry, but the next coach hopefully tells you the same thing.
And then eventually they'll kind of come around to it.
Yes.
So the barrier specifically that you're talking about is the thought that lifting weights is a problem
Correct.
for women
Yes.
when it's not. Okay, well, at least this person is out running, right?
Yes.
Let's talk
correct.
about the person that's doing nothing. and they for whatever reason always have an excuse for why they can't go for a run, why they can't get to the gym. Like, what does that conversation look like? How do you handle that?
First, I need to see how their nutrition is, because I'd rather fix the foundation first and then build that momentum into the next thing of getting them into the gym or getting them to get movement in. So we'll focus solely on nutrition. Once they master that, then I'll throw it out there as a little hint, like, hey, just imagine how much quicker we would get to your goal if we did this, this, and this. And it could be as easy as 7,000 steps, right? Getting outside for 20 minutes. Little things like that ripple into better things. And I say that because they see the changes. That convinces people quicker than if I just tell them what to do. That's what people are sold on. That's why these challenges work for people, because if they don't see results in the first week or two, they're out. But that's not when the changes are made.
It's funny you say that. You know, I lost all of my weight with nutrition only.
Yeah.
And then I started working out afterwards. I went from being too fat to like being too skinny, and then started working out afterwards. And so I often have the same conversation with people. I mean, if you do one or the other, you're going to have some benefits.
Correct.
But if you want to change your body, then we got to get this nutrition thing like
100%. And I'm all about taking care of the individual's internal health first. That's why I went with the nutrition side first. We're going to attack nutrition first. That's always the hardest. The rest will be a piece of cake for you.
Yeah.
So I'd rather attack the hardest thing first and make these additions easier for you to latch on.
And a lot of times too, if you start with nutrition, they'll just overall feel better without putting out as much like physical exertion. And
Correct.
There's no soreness that comes along with, improving nutrition.
The alternative is if I have them not focus on nutrition and go to training and they're not seeing results, then it's like, I don't trust you now.
Then it's your
Correct.
I know. I've been there before.
Yeah. So it's like I might as well attack the hardest thing, but the most effective thing as well first.
Okay, awesome. Do you have any other like common barriers to like getting in the gym regularly that you hear a lot that you think would be beneficial to talk about?
Getting into the gym, it more so time.
Yeah, the time thing.
Yep, time. But it's like, I don't know anyone besides like entrepreneurs who work 24/7. So you can't give me that excuse.
Yeah. So if someone does say that time is their biggest barrier though, what kind of program are you recommending to them?
Well, I say they can do things at home, some body weight movements. They can do some HIIT training style body weight at home. They can go on runs. You don't need more than 30 minutes of quality training. I think some people think they have to spend like 2 hours in the gym. That's another thing.
Yeah.
No, you don't. On average, I'm lifting about 40, 45 minutes. That is it. Since I stopped doing CrossFit, I've reduced my training time from 2.5 hours down to 40 minutes. So no, I know you have time. It's just mindset again. It's
30 to 40 minutes. How many days a week?
4 to 5.
4 to 5.
Yep.
Yeah, that's your
And make
ideal.
sure I hit my steps. That is huge.
And for you, what is that?
10,000.
10,000 a day.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that if I simplify my diet and eat similar things, work out for 30 minutes, 4 days a week.
Quality training, though.
Okay, let's define quality training.
Yeah,
Let's talk about that.
There's who would get a better that's not a way to word it. Okay. Let's say you and your fiance are together for 30 minutes, but you're scrolling on Instagram versus 30 minutes of conversation. Which one is better quality?
The conversation.
Correct. And that's the same with training. I think a lot of people are stuck scrolling and finding or a little chatty with their friends. Like, you're not having a good quality session, so it's not going to be effective. You get what you get out. Well, you put in what you get out, right? Or you get out what you put in, right? And that's the same with training. So 30 minutes of good, intense training, then yes.
I guess what I'm asking is, what does good, intense training look like? Like, are we talking about weightlifting? Are we talking about cardio? Are we talking about
going to failure?
squats?
Well, it depends what the individual's goal is, right? So what if it's an athlete who wants to improve their endurance? Then I'm going to say better quality in your your running, right? Really pushing your paces where they need to be, versus if it's just someone who's trying to put on muscle mass, then yeah, about 3 good exercises where you're lifting about 8 to 12 reps,
Okay.
depending on
Now we're talking.
what you're trying to train. Yeah. So that's what I mean by good quality. It's specific to your goal. For some people, it might just be 30 minutes of walking.
Yeah. Let's talk about the average. I'm average 25 to 45. I want to lose a little bit of weight. I haven't been working out. I'm going 4 days a week, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, what type of routine would you recommend? I'm good to get a gym membership.
Okay.
I'll do whatever you tell me.
I'll probably do about 30 to 40 minutes of more strength training to focus on, and maybe one conditioning piece. Still expecting them to hit their steps, though. No matter what, whether it's a rest day or a training day, they're still going to hit their steps.
And if I'm working out 4 days a week, do you think that full body workouts, upper, lower?
I'll probably do push-pull legs.
Push-pull legs?
Push-pull legs. That split I really like. If it's a female, probably 2 legs, one upper body.
Yeah.
It just depends on the individual. I have a lot of females who are scared to lift upper body. They don't want to look like a man. So
sure.
Females, I probably cater more legs for them.
Okay. So when it comes to the push day, you said 8 to 12 rep range, 3 exercises.
Yep.
So maybe something like a bench press.
Yes, a compound lift,
Yep.
or depending on the gym and what they have to offer. If they have free weights, we can do some bent over rows. We can do some chest supported rows. If they have machines, which most gyms I hope do, or cable machines, I'll throw in some variety with that as well, just to change different planes, different. People like variety.
Yeah.
So if I keep it the same, unfortunately, they get tired, and the
Right.
goal is to keep them on track.
How much variety do you recommend?
I like to do about 4-week cycles.
Okay, 4 weeks. Yeah. Okay.
3 to 4 week cycles. Just want to get exposure. But if they're brand spanking new, I want to expose them to everything at once. See how their body is responding, then go from there.
Yeah, we kind of stick with the same approach as with the diet. We try to use less variety.
Yes.
So we do 8-week cycles.
Yeah,
but
I do those for myself.
okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Okay,
but most clients will like, oh my God, coach, I'm trying. And they also don't understand like progressive overload and how that looks. So their first week is like super low. And then by the time week 5, I'm like, those are big jumps. So you clearly didn't push that first week. That's why I think a lot of people don't understand the concept of progressive overload and how to increase their weights properly.
Yeah. What is progressive overload?
So just you can do that through reps. You can do that through sets. You can do it through weights. But it's trying to increase volume weeks at a time, right? So for example, if I'm doing 3 sets of 10 bench press at 115, next week, if it's 3 sets of 10, ideally I want to be about 120 to 125. So increase the weight. Or I can maybe do an extra set, lower
4 sets.
reps. Yep. So it all depends on, I'm just a big athlete in regards to like CrossFit, but I recently got into this style of training maybe 2 years ago when I stopped doing CrossFit. And I have noticed a huge difference with my physique.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
those minor increases make a huge difference. People don't think like, oh, that's only a 5-pound jump, coach. But no, look through the whole 8 weeks.
Sure. Yeah. I like to define progressive overload as doing more today than I did yesterday.
Yep.
You know, it's in most simple. Obviously,
Yes.
there's more
But
to it
that's
than
correct.
that, right?
That's exactly it. Yes.
Yeah. But the simplest way to look at it, one of the mottos that we follow here is simple, fun, effective.
Ooh,
Right. So
simple,
if
fun, effective.
if we keep it simple, make it fun, it will be effective.
Yep.
And what's crazy
100%.
about that is it works backwards also. To be effective, it has to be fun. And for them to do it over a period of time, so to be effective, it also has to be simple.
Yes.
So it works forwards, backwards, left, right,
Up,
and then
down.
at the end of the day, results and effectiveness
Yes.
are fun.
Yes.
Right. So even if someone like with the variety thing, the conversation I'll often have with people is that, I know there's a lack of variety, maybe a little bit in your mind of what you're eating or what you're doing, but just remember that results are fun.
Yes.
My goal in my job as a trainer is to build your foundation, to make you stronger at the fundamental things.
Yes.
And if you get good results and you move towards your goals, you'll be having fun. I promise.
If they only knew though, like how much harder it gets as you get deeper into
Yeah.
your fitness.
It
Like, if they only knew.
It gets exponentially harder
Yes.
to continue to progress. Same thing with
Correct.
weight loss. As you lose
Yes.
weight, it continues to get harder to to continue to keep losing weight. Because when you weigh 300 pounds, it's easy to lose 3 pounds.
Yes.
If you only weigh 200 pounds, it's harder to lose that same 3 pounds. So we like to think of it in percentages.
Correct. 100%. So it's like, sometimes I wish I can swap with the clients and be like, if you were in my shoes, you'd definitely be bored.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if they could just see what you did. Honestly, if you could just show them what you do, then they were like, oh, well, maybe I should just do this.
But they don't believe it.
I know.
It's like,
I know.
no, she's genetically gifted.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Yeah,
No.
I understand. Oh, cool. Well, do you think there's anything that we missed? We talked about the obstacles for nutrition, which are oftentimes time and the lack of variety. We talked about how to overcome those. We talked about obstacles with fitness, how to overcome those. Women should be lifting weights. They should be doing strength training, right? We talked about the mindset of champions. You don't have to be born that way.
Nope.
It can be developed. Do you think there's anything else that we missed or that we should cover?
It's okay to go against the grain.
Okay.
I think that with a lot of things. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of Andy Frisella, and it's like, what they want you to do the opposite, right? They want you to eat fast food. Don't eat fast food. Make your food. They don't want you to work out. Go work out. And I feel like that's the same with a lot of things, especially with what you see social media posts about nutrition. It doesn't have to be complex. It's opposite. It's simple.
That's right.
Right? It's simple. And a lot of our battles are between the ears. If you fix that, everything else will align. I really appreciate everything that you're doing, because you are going to be a ripple effect to making that change. And I think we need more individuals to do that.
Yeah, it's a team effort.
Yes,
for sure.
it is.
We all need to be in this thing together to help get our city and eventually our state, our country, and so on, moving in the right direction, right? Because
100%.
fitness changed my life, and I know it can other people's as well. Your life will be better if you can figure this stuff out. It doesn't have to be complicated. Fitness should be a part of your life. It should not be the center of your life. It shouldn't take over. It should de-stress you, not add stress.
Correct.
Right? And if you keep it simple, we can make that happen.
Yes.
If someone wanted to work with you, how do they get hold of you? How does that work? What does it look like?
They can just follow me on Instagram, and send me a message there. That's the easiest way. I mean, we do have a website. It is uptomeactive.com.
Okay. Cool.
Or Instagram. That's most of where
Instagram.
all the questions come in.
And you work with people online, in person?
It's online. We used to do in person.
Okay.
But there wasn't any difference in regards to the client seeing results. Yeah. So why see you in person?
Yeah, you just do it all online.
Yes.
Yeah. I wanted real quick too, before we wrap up, I told you that I met Danny I've known Danny for a while.
Okay.
But I kind of reconnected with Danny because of Mike.
Okay.
And then I connected with you through Danny. So like this ripple effect. And then we met up for lunch the other day, and he was telling me about you. And I was like, oh man, how often do you make her yell at you? And he was like, all the time.
Weekly.
Yeah. That's what
Every time he submits his check-in report.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I was curious what your answer was.
It's funny. I mean, good guy, means well.
Yeah.
And it's just, I want the best out of everyone. And I think it's a curse sometimes, because I can get really invested into wanting you to be a better individual. But I think because I know how good of an impact fitness has made for me, and we're not here to be average, okay?
That's right. That's so true.
And I'm super scared of that. So I fear it for others, especially because the potential is endless for everyone. And if I can make myself better and hopefully impact others that way, then it's a win-win. Everyone wins, because then we have a better community. We have a better, like you said, city, state, country.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yes.
Really appreciate you coming on. Shawn, any last minute questions?
I have 2 questions.
Oh,
actually.
let's go.
So my first question is going to be, what was like your catalyst for change? I find that like sometimes when it comes to fitness, I'm in my early 30s and I hang out with a bunch of my friends that it's like we have the same conversations. We're getting a little fatter. We're getting a little not as flexible, and age is starting to really become like something that we think about often. I working at a gym like you said, surrounding yourself with people that can like motivate you to be better. Going to the gym and stuff like that has been great for me. Fitness has had a huge impact on my life, and I love what I get to do on a daily basis. But then I'll see my friends, and sometimes we'll have those same conversations over and over again. And I would be like, hey, go to the gym. Hey, meal prep. Hey, do this. And I'm always like, but they still don't. I'm like, what does it take for people like to make that change sometimes?
It's a good question.
It's funny because I just had this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was earlier this week or last week. Oh, man. Some people see it as a passion to want to make others better, but I feel like it's a human responsibility because we are very lucky to be alive. Like, I like to go from outside looking in. So this galaxy is massive, and we're probably the only living things on here, which makes us lucky to be alive. And if we want to continue to grow our civilizations, be better humans, that starts with us. And I think you're trying to make an impact with your friends. They're just not listening.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because I mean, what happened with me, it was like as we're getting older, you know, you just kind of notice these things, and it's like it's not a real big deal. I was that guy. I was like, I'll eat whatever I want. I'll go to the gym and not really give it all I can. I didn't really track anything. I was just kind of doing whatever. But it's like I had an injury, fell off of a skateboard, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm 30.
Yeah, I feel my age.
yeah. I was just like, oh man, I can't just get up and just live my life. So that was like kind of my catalyst for change. I know that it's a different answer for every single person, but it's just like I don't know. It's always just I'm like, why? What would make you want to make that change? Like, and take it serious, you know? It's just
who knows? Because I've even seen. I mean, I've had family members who get diagnosed with diabetes and they still don't change.
That's crazy.
Everyone's point or rock bottom is different.
True. Yeah,
Sadly,
very true.
Like, I wish I can just tell people all day, if you do this, you're going to prevent this, or you're going to give yourself this much more life. But that's still not enough.
Dude, someone told me I had a beer gut once, and I like that night I went to the gym, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta get on it. Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about? So yeah, it's pretty wild, you know.
I think, I'm no psychiatrist, but I think that's gonna dig deeper into their history and past as to why they're prolonging wanting to change for themselves.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be heartache, it could be, missing parents as they're growing up. It could be a ton of things.
I think one thing is that people think we have unlimited time. Like you were talking about at the very beginning, you said that, you know, our lives are so short.
Yes.
It's like, man, you really want to spend like 10 years? Like I can definitely see some people, you know, that I know, or, you know, just in general, probably like in 30 to 40, they don't make those changes. And then it's like 40 years old. Now you're trying to play catch up. And it's just like, wait, what's going on? And it's a lot harder then. So.
And it's unfortunate because when they look back, they're going to be like, damn, I wasted so much time. Or now that I'm retired, it's great. I don't have to work, but now I can barely walk.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm on all these pills or something like that. Like you were saying, the person with diabetes, one of my favorite quotes I've been hearing recently is like, everyone has a million problems until they have one problem, and that's a health problem. They have that health problem, and then it's like, oh man, you know, I'm trying to do everything now. But it's like, why did you wait until just now?
Exactly.
Why did you wait?
And I think health is also such a valuable thing people take for granted, and you can put no price tag on.
100%.
Like, don't take it for granted.
100%.
Man, it's just unfortunate. Sorry, go.
No, for sure.
So true.
Yeah, something that I think about pretty often is when I was younger, I got a piece of art submitted into an art show. I went the first day by myself, and I was like, wow, this is cool. I see my art. This is awesome. Invited my family out the next day, and it was a special day for burn victims, burn children. And man, you just see all these kids walking around, and they're just like, their skin is just so damaged, but they're just like living their lives. But I was like, man, they'd probably be so happy to have the skin that I have, or they have the, you know, the opportunity that I have to not have to probably, because I know that usually they have to wear, in the summer, they can't just go outside. They have to prepare and do all this other stuff. So it's like, man, just take advantage of this. Take advantage of it. Yeah.
Gratitude. That's another thing. Like, we take a lot of things for granted. There's a a little quote, and I have a picture of it on my phone somewhere, but there's this guy, he has 2 amputated legs, and he has a quote on there that says, "People ask me how I do what I do, and I simply ask them how they don't." Like, we got 4 limbs, we got lungs to breathe, a heart that pumps. Why are you taking it for granted? It's so unfortunate. And it's just, again, mindset. Like, the perspective of seeing things differently. I think a lot of people are just so stubborn and stuck in their self-centered life that they don't look past that.
Yeah.
Like, woe is me. Like, I'm victim of everything. Like, no.
And I guess my next question, it's not as deep as that one. It's really just tracking progress. And do you have any suggestions for that? Because I feel like that can be tough sometimes for people. Is like they'll be open to doing it, but it's just like, how do I keep up with it? Do notes, an app, or what do you have?
Man, I guess it depends on their goal. So, like, you know, I guess
like your goal earlier, you were saying you tell them eat. You know, I want you to track your eating. Like, how would you suggest that they do that?
So if it's tracking macronutrients, they can use an app. There's a bunch of free apps out there. I know one of them is MyFitnessPal. They can do that, or simply just writing it down. I mean, sometimes it's breaking it down to just eating a lean protein, eating vegetables, and a decent carbohydrate, right? Or it could be as easy as eliminating alcohol, right? Reducing that, or eating out less, right? It just depends where they are at in their journey. There's more than one ways to track it. Sometimes it's sitting down and seeing if they trained 3 days out of the week like they promised themselves. Like, there's so many ways to track it. Now, personally, I don't know if you've had this problem before, but, you know, as you get deeper into the fitness world and like with training and stuff, it becomes harder to have a goal. Like, how have you handled that?
Yeah, the most in my adult life, the most motivated that I've been was last year when I signed up for the Houston Marathon.
Okay.
And like, I was on it. And
yeah.
Other than that, I have to admit that a lot of times in the past few years, fitness has become just like a get it done kind of thing.
Yes.
Because a lot of my goals are more like are business centered at this point. So I've kind of figured out like this is what works for my fitness. But I will say that signing up for something got me like lined. And I hired a coach also.
Yep.
I hired a
coaches need coaches
specifically for my running.
Yep.
And that was a real game changer, knowing I had someone to be accountable to.
That's huge.
And so he helped me set my like goal, you know, for the marathon, and there was a time stamped to it, right? And so that was a big game changer for me, which I should probably go that route again pretty soon.
Yeah, it becomes hard to have a goal, especially like as an entrepreneur. You own your own business. You're so focused on like, let's grow the business.
For my goals are all pretty much associated with that.
Yes.
At this point.
And then you can tie your training into it, right? Like, if you are investing in yourself for that 30 minutes to an hour a day, you are going to perform better elsewhere.
Yes. So true.
Yeah. So it depends on what your goal is, but there's always a way to tie fitness into that goal.
I will definitely say that sometimes I work out just because I know that when I'm done,
you're wired.
I'm going to have the most focus.
100%.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yes.
I'm going to have a ton of focus when I'm done with this.
I have some of my best thoughts when I'm running. Like, I always wish that I could just take like a little pamphlet out. I'm like running.
Dude, like the adrenaline, the endorphins, it ripples
Fantastic.
into everything
When
else.
I come up with a good idea in the middle of a run, I just repeat it in my mind over and over and over and over.
And then you speed up.
Like until I get home and I can write it down. Because otherwise you forget it, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, there's always a way to create a goal. It's just sticking to it. And like you said, timeline is huge. You set a stamp on it, that means you're committing to it.
That's right.
100%. Well, that's all I have.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, really appreciate you coming on.
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm only like 8 minutes away.
Yeah, we're about to do it again for sure.
I'm down.
All right. Well, guys, if you want Amanda's help with your nutrition, check out her Instagram page, shoot her a DM. We're all just here to help try to make Houston a healthier and happier place. So
100%.
Make sure you like, subscribe, go check out Amanda's stuff online, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out.